So here we are. Today we received some disturbing news about an incredibly talented woman in the not in the cannabis industry, incredibly talented young woman who is an athlete who just broke record, who is heading to the Olympics. And we learned, while I believe some updates have come in, that she may be able to participate in some sort of relay races, but she was suspended for 30 days for testing positive for marijuana in her system, for cannabis in her system, for pot, for weed. And I'm using all of the names that hopefully resonates with you all and understand that why we people in the cannabis industry are outraged. We're outraged today because this is exactly what we are fighting for. We're fighting for decriminalization of this plant. We're fighting that people are no longer penalized. And what we mean by penalized, in addition to incarceration, that they're removed from, taken out, or not even considered for opportunities based on consumption of a plant that is considered medicine, that we have scientists and doctors who have told us and have told the society and community and globally that, you know, this plant has benefits. And we have so many athletes in this industry, as well as outside of this industry, that have spoken out and said cannabis has helped them, whether to relax, for pain relief, for anxiety, or for whatever medical ailments they may be faced with. We have patients who have said cannabis, the plant, is medicine. It is medicinal. It has helped them. We have people, everyday people, who use it for adult use, much like alcohol, and they want time to relax and to just enjoy and consume. They've all spoken out in support. And so we felt, as Women Grow, and I'm sorry I jumped right into this. My name is Gia Marone. You can see it on the screen there, but I'm passionate and I'm hot. And you know, anyone that knows Women Grow knows us and knows the community. This is exactly what we're fighting for. And the reason why this is so much more important today is that while we're building and helping to build a multi-billion-dollar industry, we still have people who are incarcerated for this. We still have people who are penalized for this. And we cannot continue to build this industry alone based on business, while federally and legally it is still a Schedule I drug, that people are impacted by this. And it's wrong. It's wrong. We need to change this now. We're no longer wanting to wait for things to happen. It is very clear and evident that the greater global society believes that cannabis should be legalized. And you have this talented young sister who is breaking records, but she is only one of the many athletes who have been impacted by this. And so it is important to us, as it is to you, as it is to the patients, as it is to so many other people, for us to express our support for her. This is why we are involved in this industry. We are part of the blueprint of building and addressing the wrongs that have been impacting so many thousands and millions of people. And so I'm going to start off first with Eric Range, who is from M for MM, that's Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Eric, jump on and just give us a quick comment. There are going to be so many people who are joining us from different places, and I appreciate them all for just joining us last minute, but we have to get behind Sha'Carri Richardson. We have to get behind women who look like Sha'Carri Richardson. We have to get behind patients and athletes and everyday people to say penalizing consumption or use of cannabis, it's wrong. And so, Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, you know, all day we've been, you know, in conversations about this behind the scenes, and different groups and organizations are talking. You know what is resounding to me that is frustrating, because you said it. We have been fighting for this, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, and all of the other organizations, Women Grow and so on. And we're going to continue that fight. We're at the tables. We're there. We're vigilant in that regard. But at some point, other organizations in society have to begin to have these conversations. We cannot wait on federal legalization for these organizations to start having these conversations. There's no reason why, organizations like the Olympics or, other sports organizations, they see what's happening. We've been seeing this. We're now 20 years, 20 years plus from legalization of medical marijuana in a state here in the U.S. We're almost coming up on 10 years of a state legalized for adult use. If you don't recognize that this is happening, you are existing in a bubble. And we got to get not just us as advocates continue to fight, but at some point, every single organization that exists in this country has to stop being reactionary and start becoming proactionary. So we definitely, as an organization, the whole M4MM tribe, we stand in solidarity with Sha'Carri Richardson, and we say let her run. Let her run.
Exactly.
This is what she is healing herself, and for too long in the African American community, we have been healing ourselves, self-healing, and it's been something that we didn't quite understand as well as we do, and we're learning more and more about that. But the rest of the world needs to understand that as well. And again, we have to get in front of these conversations and not be on the back end of them. And so that's my message to every organization that exists in this country. You guys need to be having this conversation about how are you changing your policies and mindsets to reflect what's happening in our society.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate you. I'm going to hop over to, and Eric is actually in Florida, so now I'm going to hop over to Las Vegas right now. Rebecca, I want you to comment on this because a lot has been happening in Las Vegas, but you know as well as I do that so many individuals have been impacted by it. So I'd love for you to comment on what was happening today and how you felt about it.
Definitely. I feel really strongly about it. I'm so honored that you reached out to me because this is something that really resonates with me. I am a healthcare professional, so when I see her consumption of cannabis being related to a performance enhancer, it blows my mind to see that equation. As a scientist, I don't agree with that, and science speaks on that behalf. If we're going to ban ibuprofen and all other things that these fighters and these every sport across every sport uses to heal, you got to let her run. I really I'm in a state of shock. I was literally infuriated. And as I was seeing what you were posting, Tanya reached out to me to jump on, and I feel really passionate about this. And it's so hypocritical to take these huge steps forward, but still feel this pushback from all over the world. And in Nevada, we have UFC fighters getting sponsored by CBD brands. I mean, in some areas it's so progressive, but this goes against the science of it. We've evolved so much, and to see it get treated as a performance enhancer makes me think, okay, well then nobody should get a recovery. Like it really bothers me to see it treated as if it was any other Schedule I.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you know what? I actually see Kibra there, and I want to pull Kibra in because Kibra is a nurse and she talks and educates people about cannabis. Kibra, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello, Kibra. Yes, how are you? I want you to talk to me because I think much like the rest of the industry, and look, see, when I say people are joining from everywhere, we have people in their cars that are pulling over to speak out and address this matter. And we knew we had to use our platform in this way. And so, Kibra, please talk to us about not only what you see, but how Sha'Carri is being treated, right? To sit on a sideline. Now, we just learned a week or so ago that she lost her biological mother, that she still had to train. And she said time and time again, no one knows what I am going through. But no matter what, she is still showing up, and she's not only performing, she's excelling. Speak to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was so upset, like Rebecca, hearing of this news this morning. And really, when you look at like the barrier she's been breaking and the fact that she is just set up to be an Olympian champ, and this has come, and I like it's just an excuse. I really do. And I think it's very unfortunate with all that she has gone through in the last few weeks and still to be excelling. I think that I definitely know, and she admitted that her cannabis use was directly related to managing or attempting to deal with the grief of losing her mother. And we all know that, especially in our community, as Eric kind of alluded to, we have been using cannabis and self-medicating and are really just starting to understand what we have been medicating and why. As Black and brown and poor people in this country, we deal with disparities at every level of life. And and to be able to utilize cannabis to manage the symptoms of trauma related to those disparities,
And you call it urban trauma, correct?
Absolutely, because it's different. Although it will show itself in pretty similar ways, it's really different in the way in which we think of trauma in the traditional form. So we think of veterans as being, having post-traumatic stress disorder after war. But we have now realized that people in our communities have been living in war zones. They called it a war on drugs, but it really was a concerted attack against us. And the trauma of the war, the addiction, the disparities, the lack of education, the oh boy, we could just go on and on and on.
Exactly.
But the trauma related to that has been really devastating to our communities, and especially because we haven't even had the moment to be aware of it. So this is what happens to Black Americans and brown Americans and people from our community. We lose our mother, but we still got to race. We still got to work. We still got to function. And we look for ways in which to do so that will not affect our performance, that will help us to be able to still do the things that we have to do. And that's obviously what she was doing. If she had taken an antidepressant, she wouldn't have been able to perform at all, more than likely.
Because is cannabis a performance drug?
Absolutely not. What it helps with is muscle recovery. What it helps with is bringing your body back into homeostasis, into a state of normalcy. Cannabis feeds the endocannabinoid system, which does all of the things in our body to keep us on an even keel. So our mental health, our physical health, our entire lives are kind of controlled by the endocannabinoid system. So to have an imbalance because of an event like trauma or grief or activity, to consume cannabis is to put your body back into that balance. But no, it does not enhance any performance. And as a matter of fact, it totally, she is an example that it totally dispels a myth that people who consume cannabis are couch laying food.
Absolutely. So Kibra, I'm going to hop over to the next person. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those who don't know, we call Kibra Nurse Kibra because she is a nurse not only in the industry, but outside of the industry. Kibra, thank you so much. I'm actually going to hop over to Kimber. Kimber, are you there?
Hi, Gia.
Hey, Kimber, how are you? Listen, I greatly appreciate you joining us as a canna mom yourself and someone who has advocated and talked about cannabis. Talk to me today about what's happening. There's so much that we've all been buzzing about, but tell me how you reacted to this.
Coming to you from New York as part of the Candiva community. So as someone who is very active in the community about sharing how I utilize cannabis as a parent, how I use it as a medical patient, in addition to for my own enjoyment and relief. I don't think it matters what the reason of the consumption was. This is not a performance enhancing drug. This is something that people utilize for health and wellness. And we are currently dealing with this stigma with cannabis all around us, that our plant is constantly being placed into different categories of convenience when it helps push a story along that feeds a narrative that we've created in this country. But either we are a plant-based medicine or we are the worst narcotic in the world. But we can't be both and live in this gray area. And as someone living in New York, where we're so excited about being on the precipice of adult use, the whole hope in that conversation with the passing of the MRTA is that we're going to be pulling down these walls that we face as consumers with this stigma. And this is all about stigma. This is all about racism. I'm a Long Islander. I'm a competitive swimmer. That was my sport of choice. Big fan of Michael Phelps over the years and the way he represented our country. You know, photographed with a bong, photographed using cannabis. It was kind of like, ha ha, isn't that amazing that he can swim? But nobody ever did anything other than print salacious articles or maybe slander him. But instead, this is a woman who is an Olympian. She has spent her entire life focused on living in a goal set that is focused on dedication, determination, working as a team, being part of an entity, but yet being a part of a sport where you're also a solo individual. She has represented our country. It is terrible that going through emotional grief and trauma, representing our country has still had to be a priority instead of focusing on self-healing. Yeah. But those are decisions that we make when we take on roles that are larger than life. And here, you know, we have someone who has lived that dream of what we hope our children aspire for. And walking through the world with a little grace and dignity shouldn't be something that slaps you with racism and a stigma.
Thank you so much. Nye, I see you joining us. Kimber, thank you so much. Nye, are you there? There she is. Nye, wait. Yes, Nye, hold on 1 second. I see Dr. Lynn on it. I want to bring Dr. Lynn. Dr. Lynn, are you there? Can we get you on? If you unmute, did you unmute? Here she comes. People are literally driving in their cars and pulling over just to talk to us. And I greatly appreciate you all for doing it. Kimber, we may have to, Dr. Lynn, we may have to hop because it looks like your Wi-Fi isn't connecting. So Nye, I'm going to jump over to you.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Nye, how are you? Listen, I think you were just as outraged as the rest of us. And we wanted to get feedback from the community because there's so many people who are speaking out. And if you can, there's so many people that are actually in queue. So if you can just quickly in 30 seconds tell us, how are you feeling about this? What's going on with you?
I feel like anytime I get optimism that we are taking steps forward, we're thrown 10 steps backwards. I resonate what Kimber and everyone else is saying is that cannabis is not a performance enhancing drug. It is not a drug. It is a plant that was used to heal. And I think back to my own experience when my dad passed. And I used cannabis to heal, and I would not be in the place I am today without this plant. So for her as a young lady to recognize that she did not have to be dependent on pharmaceuticals, that she can use something natural to help her through her trauma and to help her heal and to perform her best. Like, it's heartbreaking, but it's also helped me recognize that we have a long fight ahead of us, and it's always going to be this battle that we have to step up. We have to talk about our own experiences and the experiences of people in our community to be able to break away from this stigma that cannabis is a drug, and it is not. And my last thing is, let her run.
That's right.
Run. She is a human being and she deserves to run.
Thank you so much. Chirali, I am so sorry. Chirali said she is in solidarity with us and grateful. Thank you so much, Chirali. Mary, are you still there? Mary Pryor? Can I get Mary on? There you are. Hey, Mary.
I'm here. Hi, I'm here. I don't know if you can even see me.
I can't see you, but I can hear you. There you are. There you are, Mary. And then I'm going to bring Khadijah in right after. But Nye would pop off, and then Mary will be able to pop on. Thank you so much. Hey, Mary. So we talked briefly, and there's been a series of emails going on and text messages, and we saw this. And, you know, I think it wasn't just Black girls, it was women, men, and industry immediately became outraged. I mean, the Twitter sphere, all of it going off, right? Because why? We do this work every single day to help remove the stigma of this plan. So talk to me today, right now, about how you're feeling.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm disappointed in all the things everyone's already shared, but I'm really disappointed in advocates and particularly in melanated people utilizing the discussion point of, wow, she could have waited. I think that that is some of the most talented, tinthy respectability politics. And it really shows how deep the lies of prohibition propaganda, along with the war on drugs, quote unquote, has driven people into thinking that that type of response into something like this is justifiable. It's completely not. So I'm really disappointed to see those that I call or know, or we all know as advocates, utilizing that as a point. And to be honest with you, it's triggering for me. I lost both of my parents before I turned 33, and my grandparents who raised me in a matter of a 7-year stint. And as someone who's a Crohn's patient, and as someone who has benefited greatly from having immune system support through the form of the cannabis plant in any form, I think that this discussion.
And you're very athletic.
I'm extremely athletic. I do Olympic style weightlifting.
So and competitive yoga.
And a lot of yoga. So it's kind of like, you know, without cannabis, I wouldn't have been able to give eulogies for my father, my mother, my grandmother. Without cannabis, I wouldn't have been able to organize funerals for 7 years. Without cannabis, I wouldn't be able to even be here talking to you about this issue. And it's made me even question, you know, are we really for everybody winning in this situation? Because this isn't just a Black issue. And I've had to do a lot of education with friends this morning to where they're like, well, they did it because she's Black. I'm like, no, this is a part of different testing in sports is a thing. Ricky Williams is really the unfortunate superhero godfather who's also in the industry.
Absolutely.
That dealt with a lot of BS. Michael Phelps actually was suspended for months because he was pictured with a bong.
Right.
Not because he showed up with marijuana in his system, right? I just want to make sure that it's fully clear that he was suspended for having a photo published of him using a bong, not because it showed up in a testing result. UFC players with THC in 2017, 2018, even part of 2019 would be suspended for THC use. So this testing item, especially within the Olympic Committee, which has a lot of scandals of its own going on, is just one of the many issues where if we don't look at what we need to do to educate people properly when it comes to advocates, when it comes to doctors, when it comes to chemists, when it comes to scientists, when it comes to everyday people, when it comes to our friends, if they are for the plant being free, thinking that the ideology of, wow, she should have waited, she knew the risks, is number one, irrelevant to this conversation. If she used the plant because she wanted to just use the plant with the unfortunate circumstance of grief, that should be allowed as well. So making sure that we understand what's really at stake when we need to have decrim federally, decrim statewide, decrim countywide, having everybody on board with understanding cannabis as a plant and not as a harmful drug. You know, this is a sign that there's a lot of work that needs to be done within our community, with people that support us, and with people who just are falling for the lie.
And globally. It's essential that it's global, because why? She's at jeopardy of potentially not being able to perform in the Olympics in Japan. Mary, thank you so much. I see Nia from Brown Girl Jane, and I want to bring you in. And then Khadijah, please come back in. Hi, Nia.
Hi everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having this discussion. I think we all know how important it is. So it's so, just, I think like everyone today, I feel feelings of frustration. But I think what she said herself is very prevalent. And that was in her response. She said, "I am human." And I think it just shows you how quickly people can just forget that. And it goes back to the conversation of how, they're so quick to say you're an athlete and just put her in this box, but she's like, "I'm human, I'm dealing with trauma." And it just reminded me of all of the weight that Black women in particular carry, and having to feel like they can't be human. And so, I feel I think people expressed it beautifully on this conversation, and it's part of the work that we do and that we all do, in reminding people around the importance of cannabis and how it can heal humans, and its importance, and it's not, as many people said, performance enhancing. So it's not only ridiculous that she's even having to give up her dream, but it's just irrelevant. So, like many of you, I'm frustrated, and it really motivates me to continue the work that we do, and reminding me that we have a long way to go, because people say, "Oh, in Oregon, it's free. It's not a criminal," and but we still have so much further to go until everyone realizes how important this plant is, and also, more importantly, how important Black women are, and how important speaking about our trauma and our experiences are.
And the one thing that you said in terms of her statement, and Khadijah, we're going to make sure to bring you into this, but she said, "I am human." And do you know, I saw comments of people saying, meaning that she's human and she makes mistakes. No, how about she is human, and this plant, as a human being, is helping to heal her through whatever it is that she is going through, whether if it's healing from trauma, from recovery, from running an amazing race, whatever that might be. And I think that is where that stigma, and helping to remove that stigma, is coming from, because people are looking at the statement of "I am human" as though she's admitting to making a mistake. She is not. What she's saying is it may not be for everyone, but it is helping her. Khadijah, I want to bring you into this. Nee, thank you so much for joining us. Khadijah, we were on the horn this morning. Yes, you have your brown girl chain.
I've been triggered. I'm about to.
Yes. Listen, we just had her partners on our podcast. But
hi, Khadijah.
Hey, love.
I love it. And so here's what I before you begin, Khadijah, I want to read something that was shared. So we just launched our podcast a few days yesterday, the 1st, right? And so we had Rosie Matteo, which we both know and love. And Rosie said on her interview, she says, "I want to represent what cannabis is. I consume cannabis. I have a career and a thriving business. I work out every day. I'm loud and proud about it because I think it's super important." And that's really what part of helping to remove the stigma is about. Coming out of that closet of hiding what people have been using for centuries, whether for medicinal purposes or even just to relax, but whatever it might be, we are all patients of this medicine. And so we were on the horn as early as 8-something this morning talking about let Sha'Carri run. We are in support of her. We are, like, all of us on different email chains, text messages, because this ignited, and it reminded us that while businesses and legalization is happening from state over state, people are still being penalized for this. People are still incarcerated for this. And the work on both sides must keep going. We can't stop. Talk to me, Khadijah.
Well, listen, I just want to thank you for always being down for the get down. And this morning was special. The conversations, the text mails and emails just fortified for me that this is our time. And so for Sha'Carri and all of the other unknown Sha'Carris, we see you. Those of us who are in this space, we are not giving up. We're not going to stop this fight. I listened to Sha'Carri's talk like 3 times. And each time I thought it would be less painful. But it was triggering because all I kept hearing was, no matter how good we are, we're still not good enough. That people will always come for us. And this isn't necessarily about race or about gender. It is about what other folks have the privilege of doing in privacy, and that is taking care of themselves. So yes, I am upset that she will not be able to compete in the race that she clearly is trained for. I'm upset that she had to go on national TV and apologize. But I think the thing that really burns me and keeps me heated is that she had to disclose to people, strangers, a traumatic event as a justification for her using something that people walk in this country, in this country, all across the world, and buy, and they don't have to justify it. So why did she have to justify and exploit her pain for us to be okay with it? And that's the thing that really burns me, because there's a lot of—
You just said that. You said she had to exploit her pain.
Right.
Does anyone understand how powerful of what you just said? When you're already going through something traumatic and now you have to go in the public eye and explain why you needed to do something to help you work through a traumatic experience. And that's a problem overall, where I see people are seeing this as, well, you can just put that aside. Maybe she can. Maybe whatever she is dealing with, like at this point, why don't we just address the pink, purple, rainbow elephant in the room? Let's just decriminalize this. Let's stop penalizing it. Let's stop asking people to explain their reason for. Well, why don't we go back and have people explain why they were using opioids?
Right.
They weren't criminals. They were dealing with something.
Right.
And that is the issue. Isn't that why we go for a nice glass of wine or a cocktail during happy hour? Isn't that why we may have sweets, like to make us feel better about something? And I think that is where the issue and the misunderstanding about the work that we're doing in this space is, that there are people who are hurting and they're looking for a hug in this kind of way. And this is what Sha'Carri turned to. But she, along with many other athletes, Khadijah, how many athletes have we heard express the same sentiment, that we're fighting for an advocate for in this industry with them?
Absolutely. From professional sports on the male side and on the female side. We hear it all the time, because people are what? They're human, right? And this plant connects to our humanness, right? And so it makes sense to me that people are looking for a way that they can control how they cope and how they care for themselves. Like, we should be up in arms because she's been penalized for marijuana. We should also be up in arms that people don't have access to a plant that can help them. That is the real issue, right? And you know, I've said this before, I've never ever publicly consumed cannabis, mainly because of the stigma that people attach to people who use cannabis. But today I tried to do it on Instagram, but of course it didn't work. But
to that point though, and it immediately someone believed, right? Like, because it's in our system, then it's going to impact performance. When we've heard many people, and you know, there were other people that were on, and I do apologize. Guys, when I say that we put out the call to action, I'm like, wherever you are, just jump on. I don't care where you are, because we need to be heard and we need to be seen to support individuals like Sha'Carri. You know, it's Sha'Carri, but it's everyone else that is Sha'Carri. It's the athletes, it's the patients, it's the casual consumers who are saying, I don't want to lose getting a job because you're testing me for this. I don't want to lose
or
the
veteran, lose my
or
benefits.
veteran lose my benefits.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it's all of us. That's why I was saying that, you know, this is a moment where we get to stand up and support Sha'Carri, and we also get to support the millions of people who don't even have a name attached to it. We have to keep up this fight, and I just want to applaud all the women who got on the horn this morning and said, nope, not on our watch. It's not going down like that. And I just wanted to also offer this other interesting critique that I've heard people say, that she knew the rules, right?
Say it again. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That she knew the rules. rules? And if she knew the rules, why did she break them? And so I want us to just sit with that for a moment. This is obviously something that was very important for her. She's been working to accomplish this her entire life. So why, if she knew the rules, would she jeopardize it, right? And I will say this, because the hurt and pain or whatever it is that she was addressing was more acute and more harmful than the consequence. So let's just sit with that.
I need you to say that again, Khadijah.
It is, it's true. It is, when we have people who are put in positions, whatever, whether they're well known or whether they are not, and they make a decision that is important to their well-being, and they understand that doing that could potentially be harmful for them, we need to ask ourselves, why are we putting people in those positions? Because it shouldn't be. Should she be able to take care of herself using this plant and not have her dreams jeopardized? She should not be in this position whatsoever. So shame on them for putting her there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Khadijah. I greatly appreciate you. I want to read something that our dear sister in cannabis, Miss Wanda James, and we know Miss Wanda is active on social media, you know, in honor of Sha'Carri and all the other women and all the other men and all the other children who are patients of this plant. I wore my Women Grow hat today, you know, and you're rocking your Curaleaf, right, in support, and your pin in support of. So, you know, Sha'Carri posted, "I am human." And Wanda James says, "Yes, you are, Sha'Carri. I'm the first Black woman legally licensed to sell cannabis in America. We are going to fight for you. You did nothing wrong. Please don't apologize." And that's the thing, is that everyone is like, stand in it. And that's why I asked you to repeat what you said. For someone who has been training for this their entire life, someone who knows the rules, but yet and still, whatever you're going through, you're then told, put that aside, perform anyway. And she did, and she does, just like any other athlete.
Right.
Any other athlete.
Right. And the reason why Black women get this and we understand is because we're constantly being told, put your hurt over there and get to work. Put your whatever guilt over there and get to work. Put your health back here and get to work. We're constantly being sent that message. And we need to stop it. Just like when the tennis player a couple of weeks ago basically said, no, applauded that sister for doing that. And we're going to applaud and support Sha'Carri for dealing with her health. And she said in that interview that she was going, you know, if she's fortunate enough to run, great. But if not, then she was going to heal herself. She's going to work on it. So I implore all of us to reach out to that sister and let's figure out how we support her.
Absolutely. Yes, I think that is Dr. Shonda Macias. Well, she was there. Shonda, come back on because we're looking for you. And for those of you who are tuning in, you know, there are organizations like Athletes for Care. Thank you so much, Khadijah. There are organizations like Athletes for Care who are here in the industry to support athletes who are not only transitioning into this industry, but who use the medicine, who are working to help athletes amplify the message about their cannabis use and why they're using the medicine, right? And so, exactly, I see you, Saki. I see so many people here. Shonda, try and get back on because I wanted to read. Here she is. There you are, Shonda. Dr. Shonda, I'm so happy. You are my partner in all things amazing in cannabis, but also my Canna sister. And, you know, we both jumped on just like everyone else in the industry today when we saw what happened to Sha'Carri Richardson. And, you know, just like we all do in the industry, when you attack one of us, you're attacking us all. And Mary Pryor said it earlier, this is not just about Black or white. This is about all people, right? And who are using this plant, who are impacted, who are oftentimes losing out on opportunities for careers, for you know, education and so on. And you posted something as a scientist because I knew that was your scientific side and loving and continuing to fight for patients. You posted something today, and I'd love for you to talk about that.
Definitely, Gia. Well, first of all, I have to say hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you virtually. We activate when necessary, and right now there is a call to activate for everyone. So please share your thoughts through social media, bring awareness to the situation. I have also activated our federal team as well as local teams because it's really important that our voices are heard during this time. As a scientist, it's important that patients' lives are recognized and matter. More importantly, that patients have safe access to medicine. And today, what we saw is that a patient or a person didn't have safe access. And not only that, she was denied her constitutional rights to have safe access, being as though over 30 states have already said medical marijuana is, or medical cannabis is sound to be used as medicine. So cannabis is medicine, and someone used it that was permitted to use it in the state that they were in, and now they're being denied their right. And what that looks like to me, unfortunately, is that her civil rights are being questioned here. And I think about that because as a woman and a woman of color, why are we targeted? Why? Now, we've seen this in the past, and we've seen people who have similar incidents, and they weren't targeted in the same way. Matter of fact, they were still granted access. But because this young lady is who she is with a promising future and the ability to change heart and minds, her voice is being oppressed. And it's hard to see it. And I know that it's sometimes hard to get this message out to everyone that needs to hear it, but we have to support her. When I think about that, Gia, what happened today, I thought about she might know it or not, but she's a pioneer for us. She's a shero in her own way. I think about what are my sheroes, and I think right away, if Rosa Parks didn't put her foot down and said, I'm not moving, then today, how much of our rights would still be truncated or denied? And if she wants it or not, she's in that position where she has set an example and has showed how traditional healthcare has failed her. And therefore, she chose a medication that she believed would work for her, which is her right. And now she's serving as our Rosa Parks.
And do you know, Dr. Shonda, that Sha'Carri is a student of LSU?
Oh, I know.
And where are you located now? Right now, where are you calling in from?
The great state of Louisiana.
And what are the challenges there with patients and cannabis? What are they faced with?
We've had a lot of issues of legalizing the plant for the last 5 years. And I can say in the last month, we were able to legalize it so patients have access. So when I say that we were able to pass a bill for decriminalization for a complete flower market with all forms, any ailment or any condition, any patient can use it and any doctor can recommend it. And this is where we claim her. We claim her. We're supporting her efforts, and the state loves what she's doing for us. She was a prized possession of LSU and for the state of Louisiana, and we really hope that there will be change of hearts and minds when they really think about the impacts of this case and the future of this young lady's career.
And before I let you go, because I know how busy you are, and for those who are tuning in, if you do not know Dr. Shonda Macias, you got to know her. She's our chairwoman and CEO and my partner here in Women Grow. But, you know, more importantly, you are always a scientist first. You are always thinking of the patients first. And, you know, you've already called her our modern day Shiro, and you're right. But as leaders of Women Grow, as leadership of Women Grow, as women in the industry, when we saw something like this happen to another woman, how did you and I react? We were like, oh, not today. This is not happening.
It's not happening today.
Not on our watch, not on
She
any
will
woman's
know.
watch.
Yes, she will know she's loved, she's supported. We have put out all of our feelers out there, sent direct messages to her, her team. We want to know that all the women that we represent in this industry, which I appreciate you ladies more than you can ever imagine, it's with you and your voice that you have empowered us that we can send these loving wishes to her, wishings of support that no matter what the adversity is, she will overcome this. And not only her, but all these women that join me in our movement that are on this call or, you know, that have supported Women Grow, we're in this together. We are looking for empowerment of our voices, participation in the cannabis industry, and being the revolutionaries we are to make a change to legalize the plant and provide opportunities to more women like ourselves. Please join us.
Absolutely. And to help remove the stigma, because why? We want more women in the industry, whether they're for professional representation, for business ownership, or even just to be out and say, yes, I am a cannabis consumer, right?
And the plant is female.
Hello. Thank you.
The plant is female.
Dr. Shonda, I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know you are going on to do the next best amazing thing in Louisiana, as well as in Washington, D.C. She represents for both. I love and I appreciate you. I will call you after. We're going to keep this conversation going. We have Miriam in New York that is joining us. Miriam, are you there? Miriam.
I am.
Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
You're a little bit scrambled.
I'm on my phone. You got me?
No, I got you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you from joining us. I know in your garden, right? On the Upper East Side, West Side of Manhattan.
West Harlem.
West Harlem. And why it was so important even for you to be on here today. It's not only do I know the work that you're doing in the community in terms of advocating and education, but you also create homeopathic medicines. And oftentimes that includes hemp. And why? And why do you do it? I know why you do it, but
because it works. It works.
Because
you
it
know,
works.
if you look at all synthetic, medicine, it all starts with a plant. It starts at a plant, and you know, to keep criminalizing this plant and people while it is a thriving industry is just, it's wrong. You know, it just, when I saw that, I just was like, I had the reaction you had, like, oh no, like this, you know. And as a patient myself, like, this is just crazy. We can't have this double-edged sword. It just can't be. It's either all or nothing, because it's ridiculous.
Right, and that's exactly it. And it's interesting because that constantly comes up, right? Is it medicine or is it illegal? Mm-hmm. What are we doing here? But we hear too many times, Miriam, that so many people are moving towards alternative medicine because they feel better. And guess what? There are less medications for them to take.
Yeah, and you know, it's just, I'm gonna go inside because I'm hearing a little thunder. You know, when you talk plant medicine, it's easier to heal yourself. I mean, I'm doing it. It's not easy, but it's doable. And you know, when you talk synthetic medicines and pills and things like that, you're going to end up taking a pill to deal with a pill to deal with all of this. And it's just, in saying that we know the science, we allow it, but we have this double standard. And it's just, you know, it's just disheartening that for every win, there's such a big setback. And
as a wellness advocate, I'm sorry to cut you off, but as a wellness advocate, Miriam, what are the side effects of cannabis?
pain relief, calmness, you know, and I say this as someone who medicates daily, homeostasis. You know, when you look at the science behind what THC,
I'm losing you there, Miriam.
When you look at the science behind THC and CBD, you know, it brings balance to your body. You know, it's all about homeostasis. You know, you want your body, you don't want to be in fight or flight. And if you start studying natural wellness, you know, you really start paying attention to plants that bring balance to your body, because when you overcharge it with antivirals and, you know, all of the, you know, the super immune boosters, you create a fight or flight syndrome in your body. Whereas if you're creating balance and homeostasis, that's the key. And you're going to seek out plants that bring balance. And, you know, marijuana is one of them.
Exactly. Miriam, thank you so much for joining us. I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you guys. This is so important that we talk about this.
Absolutely. Not only that we talk about it, but that we take action. It's time for action. It's time that we continue to push forward to see the change that we need to see, not want to see, but that we need to see. And I greatly appreciate you for joining us today. I want to read a quick post. There are messages that are coming in different ways, and you know, we're quickly approaching our 1 hour time mark here. But you know, the Drug Policy Alliance, whom we work with quite often, just posted a post that says, "Let Sha'Carri's story be the one that changes the policy. We change drug policy to be rooted in science." We change drug policy to be rooted in science, compassion, and human rights. And absolutely, absolutely, that's what we do. And, you know, Sha'Carri, we don't know if you're tuning in, but anyone who is like Sha'Carri out there, who is an athlete, who perhaps is choosing not to use cannabis because they're afraid of not being able to compete, they're afraid because of a job, we stand with you. We are working day and night, 365 days a year, hoping to change this law. Marijuana, cannabis, weed, herb, whatever you choose to call it, needs to be decriminalized. It needs to be removed as a Schedule I drug. It is time. Too many lives have been impacted. Too many families have been torn apart. Too many opportunities of talented, multi-talented individuals are lost. It's time that we catch up, that we change now, that we change these laws and these regulations. It's time. And Melissa, I wish you were on. I wanted Melissa Gibson, who's also an athlete, who oftentimes said that I use cannabis for my injuries. Do you understand how many people are hurting and they're using this medicine to heal? Yet we continue to penalize and decriminalize. And you heard it first from Khadijah. And I could not agree with her more. This is someone who has been training for this her entire life. She knows the rules. And you heard Mary say, well, people said she should have put, you know, that aside because she already knew the rules. She knew the jeopardy. Yeah, but you don't know someone's pain and you don't know how deep that pain is. And you just heard Miriam say, and sometimes when you take a pill, you need to take a pill for the pill. And so we're asking you, get out and support. We're asking you, get out and amplify. We're not going to be the only organization that's going to be speaking on this, but we're certainly asking you to begin to take action, to join these talks that are happening, to follow the follow-up actions, call to actions. There's probably going to be petitions. There's probably going to be letters. There's probably going to be calls to your legislators. it's time to get into action. If you want to operate and do business in this industry, then it is your job and your responsibility to help decriminalize this, to help deschedule this, because we cannot have a multi-billion-dollar industry while we still have people who are in jail for this, who are people who are still being criminalized and penalized. We cannot. Let her run. Sha'Carri, Richardson, not only do the women in cannabis support you, the people in this industry support you. Why? Because we are fighting on the behalves of you and many other individuals, all people. Let's free the plant. Let's free the people. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's keep it pushing. Thank you. Take care, everyone.